It's time to talk a little NFFC with the RotoWire Online Championship. Jeff Erickson here and Ryan Pohle from RotoWire, and the Beat Jeff Erickson 2 draft all coming up next here on the RotoWire Fantasy Football live stream. Everybody, welcome to RotoWire's Fantasy Football live stream. Jeff Erickson here with Ryan Pohle from RotoWire. We are drafting against each other. It's not just, Ryan jumped into this when this was filling up this morning. So we now are excited about this doing this draft. Hopefully some of you guys that are drafting with us are live with us right now. Ryan, what's going on? How you doing?
Hey, Jeff, I'm great. Good to be with you.
Yeah. Hey, we've drafted in other sports together. I don't know if we've ever played in a football league together, though.
No, I think we always avoid each other. We're on opposite ends of our RotoWire Stake League draft. So this will be a first for us.
Yeah. So I'm excited about this here. Now, for people who don't know, Ryan is an accomplished fantasy player in multiple sports. We play fantasy golf, fantasy tennis, fantasy baseball together. You do everything. I like that you're a fantasy multitasker.
Yeah, I mean, what fun is it to just specialize in one sport, right? Like I got time to dabble in a little bit of everything.
Yeah, there you go. So how many drafts is this for you so far?
Gosh, it's maybe like 7 or 8. This is my third one this weekend. And that's not including underdog. I've got a bunch of underdog drafts, but I kind of view best ball a little bit differently.
Yeah, I get that. I do too. I don't even count those among my leagues. I always have 15 to 20 managed leagues. Then I have a similar number of best ball leagues, but
sure.
Yeah. So that's it. So I've got the number 1 pick. I've already taken Jamar Chase. I've done 2 RotoWire Online Championships. I have 2 Jamar Chase shares. You have the 3rd pick, and you have already taken your pick here already. I like it. You're ready. You're decisive, and you're a little out of line with the ADP, which is even better because you shouldn't be just our ADP hordes. You took CeeDee Lamb at 1.3.
Yeah, we get to somewhat choose where we pick in the NFFC format, and I did have number 3 as my first pick. My goal was to go Lamb. I could have risked it by going 4 or 5, but it's just not really worth it to me. It's like, get your guy, right? So yep. I feel like we're going to see the 2023 version of Lamb where he could be the wide receiver 1 overall.
Yeah, I could see it. I mean, let's face it. He's going to get a ton of targets, but George Pickens being around may free some things up for him. I like that theory. And then the Dallas defense, they just traded away Micah Parsons. They were already going to be pretty bad, I think, anyhow, Ryan, especially if you look at their secondary. But now, after trading away Micah Parsons, it's got to be even crazier.
Yeah, I mean, I think Dallas is just going to be involved in a lot of shootouts. The Parsons trade just makes it even better. And, the other thing, too, is like they don't really have much of a run game. Mm-hmm. We're just going to see them. I think they should be one of the most pass-heavy teams in the NFL this year. And after Lamb and Pickens, there's not really a heck of a lot there. You're looking at a Turpin, I think, as like their 3. So maybe Tolbert. Those 2 guys are kind of interchangeable, I guess. But I mean, even last year with Dak's injury, Lamb caught 100 passes, and that was, he missed the last 2 games of the year too. So, I think sky's the limit for Lamb.
Yeah. Henry's in our draft. He got the 11th pick. He had the 12 earlier today. He hates the randomizer there. If he had just got the 10th preference, he would have had pick 7. So he's bummed out about that. I'll be honest. I'd rather have 10 or 11 or 12 than 7. Because I don't think there's much difference between pick 7 and pick 12. And I'd rather get the better pick on the way back. And then you get 3rd round reversal in this league too.
Yeah, the third round reversal, I always kind of put 12 near the top for me. But this year's a little goofy too, just because like, I don't know, with like the third round's kind of blah. So I don't necessarily know if there's a huge difference between picking early third and late third. So I guess we'll kind of see how this draft plays out.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So that'll be, we'll see how that, yeah, like you said, it's interesting how it'll play out. We saw CMC go in 5 in this league. A little different than a lot of others in terms of sometimes you see him at 7, sometimes 11. You never know. So that means Barkley fell to 6. Justin Jefferson fell to 7.
Yeah, usually you don't see McCaffrey go that high, but I don't really have an issue with it. McCaffrey's one of those guys where if he stays healthy, which is obviously a big if, he could be the running back 1 overall. So, but he's only getting older. The risk of injury is high. So, but there's risk with Saquon too. So.
Do you see any picks so far that you like, I would not do that? Is there a first rounder that you wouldn't take? Because honestly, there isn't a first rounder I would not take, given it depending on the spot. All the way up to like pick 13 or so, I feel pretty good with whoever goes where they go.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the board here, I mean, nothing really feels too out of line. Nico at 8 is, tends to be a little bit earlier than he goes. He's usually more of a 1-2 turn type guy.
I've got him at 9 personally. Okay. I have Amon. I go McCaffrey, Amon-Ra, then Collins is my ranking. So it's not that far off. I have Neighbors down at 11 just because of the little injuries he suffered, but really I can't fault anybody to take some 7 either.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can find like you can nitpick little things with all of those guys, but it's really hard to go wrong with the guy in the 1-2 turn when Brian Thomas and Puka, like how am I supposed to argue with that?
Yeah. Yeah. No Thinking says that's why 12 is so good. 2 of the top 13. I get it there. The problem is I think pick 14 is just as good as 13, there too. We just saw like Puka go 13, and I could see the next 2 on my list are right there that I'm pretty happy with too. So I really like this. I like the back of the first round. For prime time, I'm actually kind of hoping I get a back end pick there. I'm doing prime time on Saturday in Vegas.
And when will you find out your pick for that?
Good question. I've set my KDS at least. I don't know if my league has been set yet. I should probably know these things, but I did set it for me there.
You're in so many leagues, it's hard to keep everything straight.
Dude, you don't even know. It really is. And I have to do something tonight where I'm going to set like my bookmarks so I can open them all up in tabs every morning. In baseball, it's a bigger deal than it is in football. But football, you only do fab once a week. You just have to get the right day. With baseball, it's all pretty uniform. We have the league that you and I are in together, Midnight Madness, and then I have an AL only home league that's also Thursday night. All my other leagues are on Sunday night. So at least I know, okay, I've got this rhythm. I'm going to go ahead and do that. With football, you got some Tuesday night, some Wednesday night. The RotoWire Stake League is Thursday afternoon. It's like kind of have to. It can sometimes be a pain in the butt to keep on top of it there.
Yeah, for sure. You're almost like better off just going in, Wednesday night. I don't know if you said you had something on if any of them are Tuesdays, but
I have too many on Tuesday now. Sleeper and Yahoo. Okay. So Sleeper and Yahoo have really pushed to have the Tuesday night thing as their default. So I have a lot of leagues with Tuesday night fab deadlines. I'll be honest, I think that's too soon.
It's too early. I don't like it. Yeah. I need like especially after like Monday Night Football, I need like a day to just kind of like clear my brain. Let me like refocus on Wednesday on football.
Yeah. So we're going to do something we did last time. I've done a couple of baseball ones. I'm going to have all the comments show up on the stage as soon as you post another one here now. I know some people have been doing some good stuff there. Instead of just always having to highlight the comment, we'll start to see it in the bottom right-hand corner. New feature that StreamYard is starting to offer. So just a heads up on that. That way we can comment on it a little bit easier there if you guys are interested there, and you can kind of see that coming up there. So, yep, there you go. Uncle Ted, always reliable there. Appreciate you guys as always for doing that. You're a couple picks away here, dude. What are you thinking?
Yeah, we've got a little bit of a running back run here going in the second round, 4 straight backs, and now Bucky makes it 5 of 6. I usually like to get a running back with one of my first 2 picks, but I also don't really love following a run.
Yeah.
Kind of like to zig when other people are zagging. So I'm gonna go with a receiver here. We'll see who team 4 takes ahead of me here. But I got a couple guys queued up.
Yeah, I'm old enough to remember when Chase Brown was still going in the 3rd round. I miss those days.
Right. Yeah. I mean, a lot of these running backs have a lot of upside to them. I think like Jonathan Taylor in the mid-second is a really good pick. There's not really much injury concern right now anyway with him. So, him going into the season healthy. Okay, so A-Chain just went. I mean, I think like A-Chain was like the last running back you could make a case for here. I think like if you're looking to go like Kyron, it's probably just too big of a reach.
We'll see about that for me.
Yeah, I know you're coming up here soon. So
yeah. Well,
I mean, I think he probably makes more sense at the term, but I'm gonna go with AJ Brown here and just take 2 stud receivers here to start. The thing I love Brown is he's just really efficient. He's just really good. And I know Philly has been a pretty like run heavy team, but I'm hoping that changes a little bit this year.
Yeah, I get that there. So Ladd McConkey just puts me on the clock. Honestly, I at one point see the problem is when you multitask, you don't even notice sometimes when a player is gone. By the way, I had the board now up on here so you guys can take a look at that there. I honestly, I really wanted Josh Jacobs, but he didn't even come close. I guess when you're multitasking, sometimes you miss that a guy got picked, and I did notice that there after the fact. But so I'm down to 2 different players, either Kyron Williams or JSN. I'm going to go Kyron Williams only because I'm debating that or what running back is going to come to me I think my problem is I don't think the running backs that I'm going to want to get in the 3rd round are going to come to me. Whereas I think I'll like a wide receiver that does. So Kyron Williams, come on down. It's a close call for me though.
I agree. I think that's who I would have been debating between Kyron and JSN. It's a tough spot because like you feel like you need a running back, but like JSN just also feels like he's undervalued. He's
awesome.
He was so good last year.
Yeah, but I'll tell you the reason why I don't necessarily trust Sam Darnold on an offensive line that I'm not convinced is going to be good at pass protection. So I have some concerns. I was this close to clicking on him, so don't get me wrong. I like Jackson Smith and Jigba a ton, but I also didn't really trust the running backs that were going to get to me, and I didn't want to I don't like zero. I don't even like. I do like drafting hero running back, but I wanted to get at least one before I get that 336 pick. Keep in mind we're in 3rd round reversal in the NFFC. That's something you have to always pay attention to.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I really like about JSN is, it's like his target share is going to be really high. Like it's like at
and
what
he just
point,
went 3.2, by the way. So
he did, yeah. So obviously you were totally right to consider him there. It's like at what point of the season is Cooper Kupp going to be injured? And then you're looking at Torrey Horton, 5th round rookie stepping in as the wide receiver too. They don't have Noah Fant anymore. So I think there's a lot to like about JSN.
Just saw Mike Evans go at 3.3, and I'm old enough to remember when he was too old and he was falling. But with Godwin not ready for the start of the season, with Jalen McMillan out, Cade Otton hurt, Evans is going to get a pretty heavy target share early on. I think that's the thought process there.
Yeah, for sure. He's one of those guys that's seen his ADP rise with the Godwin and Jalen McMillan injuries.
Yep. Just Travion Henderson. So Omarion Hampton, Travion Henderson would have loved getting one of those, but I kind of knew they weren't going to get to me at the end of the third round. So that's why I kind of wanted to go that way instead of taking JSN too. And we'll gamble on what receiver comes to me. If it's a receiver, I might go with the stack again. Last time I drafted from the 1, I did go with the Burrow Chase stack. If it comes to me, I'd think about that again.
That's always fun to pair up your wide receiver with his quarterback. Yeah, I'm gonna be in a little bit of an interesting position with not a lot of running backs still being on the board. So we might just have to.
Yeah, you're the only person that doesn't have a running back so far. That's pretty crazy. We just saw Breece Hall get properly priced. So,
yeah, this has been a pretty run heavy group. So I'm gonna have to consider what I want to do here as I'm coming up in 4 picks here.
Fortunately, I have 6 players. I do have 6 players left in my queue. So, and I'm 6 picks away. So there you go.
Well, there you go. What are you're gonna have back-to-back picks here, Jeff. So I don't know if you have any thoughts on strategy or just.
Well, yeah. So if I take Burrow, it's going to happen here, obviously.
Okay.
He's not going to make it to the 5-6 turn. I know better.
Right.
But Higgins would have been fun to see. The Higgins Chase Burrow stack would have been super fun to try out, but sure. I'm saved for myself there as far as that goes. We saw 2 Jets go in a row, Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall go back to back. Thought that's kind of interesting, but Higgins just got taken. So there goes that dream. It's fine. That's okay. Although I think the Bengals are going to play all the 37-34 games that you could possibly stomach.
All right. So
you are on the clock, my friend. You have 2 receivers so far. I'll let you think about it. I'll just keep talking while you do your pick here. So Ryan started off with CeeDee Lamb. Now he's got and he has a second receiver, which was in this case it was CeeDee Lamb, it was AJ Brown. So he's going to see. Are we going to say the NFC East? Are we going to do something else? Time will tell, as every bad college entrance essay starts with there. But Tyreek Hill. You've got Tyreek Hill. So I've said often, I'm afraid to draft Tyreek Hill. I'm afraid not draft Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, Tyreek is a really polarizing guy this year. I think people either are out on him or they're totally fine with the risk. I think I like him, definitely more in this format where there's an overall component to it. Mm-hmm. Tyreek could be a bust. And he could also be a top 5 fantasy receiver. So I'm going to bank on that outcome. But we'll see. Miami's whole offense kind of has some risk to it. You don't know if, Tua is a concussion away from being out at least a month again. So we'll see. But yeah, now Jeff, you are on the clock here for back-to-back picks after starting with Chase and Kyren Williams. So you've got that debate of
do I stack or not stack? That is the question. Only 1 quarterback taken so far. We saw Lamar Jackson go earlier. I stacked once already, so I think I'm going to not stack this time. So we'll see. But the question is, how I have 3 players for 2 picks here. Is the way I'm looking at this there. I'm going to go take the second running back here in James Cook. I think he's underpriced. I think he was the last of the running backs at the tier that I wanted to take there. So we'll see what you do with running backs instead. And then it's a debate here. Do I'm not going to take the quarterback. I'm debating between a wide receiver and a tight end. I need some George Kittle in the NFFC. I don't have any George Kittle in the NFFC yet. So let's go. This is a weird build for me. I usually have 2 or 3 receivers by now.
Yeah, I mean, I think Kittle's also in a really favorable spot where, with Ayuk injured, you're looking at them not really having a true wide receiver 1. So, Kittle should have a massive target share. So it's back onto me now. And so I'm usually not a quarterback early guy, but
me taking away Cook's James Cook from you kind of forced you in that position, huh?
Yeah, I had a draft last night. I did a FFPC main event draft where I did take James Cook in the 3rd round. So I decided to do something a little bit different in this draft. But I think with quarterback, like Josh Allen is just like such a safe pick right here. And I think there's a lot of guys on the board that have plenty of question marks. And with Allen's rushing ability, he's going to pay off on this ADP, in my opinion.
There goes Marvin Harrison. Harrison and Terry McLaurin, the next 2 wide receivers taken. Thought about both of those as the calculus there. Decided to go a little differently on this way. We'll see how it plays out. I might regret it at 5-6. You're absolutely right. No thinking was mentioning this there. And I had a chance to grab 2 at the turn. It's something I often do, but part of me is just I wanted to have a different build than I usually do. Part of it is there is a drop off. I thought there was a teardrop in running backs. He was earlier. You said that take away Cook's TDs and he's overpriced, but I don't think you can take away Cook's TDs. I think they're going to, especially now that they paid him. I think he's going to still keep doing that. I think Buffalo's run offense is something they're continuing to plan on building. So I don't think you can take it away. So we'll see if I'm right. We'll see. But it's also just a different way to build from the one spot. I did it completely a different way earlier, so kind of want to have a different build. We'll see which way works better.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to imagine Cook has nearly as many touchdowns as he had last year, but he's a huge talent. I think the thing with your build is that there's usually a lot of good receivers in the 5th and 6th round range. So, if you wanted to, you could go, 2 wide receivers on the turn, and
that's the likely result. It's just I'm hoping it doesn't go wide receiver crazy. So, I'm getting my choices instead of having to lift the player up from on the next tier. And that is entirely possible. It could still happen, but we'll see. We'll see what happens here. I mean, I'm kind of locked into a certain method there. That's the only thing I don't like about that. I don't like being in a position where I have to take something. That's the only thing that I probably. But then again, I've got the premium tight end, and I usually don't often have the premium tight end. I'm clearly not going to have the premium quarterback. I think that's pretty clear, unless it just goes super crazy at super crazy at wide receiver, and then I'm kind of like, okay, well, if you're going to give me the quarterback, then I'll take it, but unlikely.
Sure. Yeah. Whereas I'm in a position where I've kind of forced myself to take a running back here at some point where maybe I don't want to.
Mm-hmm. Don't allow trades in this league, folks. So Ryan and I will not be in cahoots.
And did you say team 4? It looks like he's on auto draft in the chat.
Yeah, he is. He got that. See, if you look at the, in our draft room itself, which I can't show you, there's a little A next to the pick, which says it's auto. So there you go. Unfortunately, he no-showed this. I'm not quite sure why. Hope he's okay.
Yep, for sure. Yeah, we've had kind of a run of quarterbacks and receivers the last handful of picks here.
So what's your fandom, Ryan? Everybody knows that. Yeah. Almost everybody knows I'm a Bengals fan. Tortured soul. Who do you follow?
Yeah, so I'm born and raised in Wisconsin. So I'm an all Wisconsin sports fan. So I definitely cheer for the Packers. It's a good time to be a Brewers fan as well.
Yeah. No kidding. So how psyched are you for this Micah Parsons deal? I mean, that trade, it's pretty amazing, huh?
Yeah, it was kind of it was shocking, really. I know the rumors had come out, 2-3 days before it happened, but I don't think many of us Packer fans really thought it was going to happen, because it's just uncharacteristic for them. The Packers usually aren't very active when it comes to free agents or trades. So to see them make a move like this, I think caught us by surprise. But I mean, how can you not love it? You know, there's people saying like, you know, we gave up too much for him. You know, we're paying him so much money. I just think it's really hard to like criticize the Packers for never making a move, and then they finally do something, and then you're going to criticize
too
them.
much.
So,
yeah, I don't think it's too much at all. Now, even though the Cowboys are really good at drafting, I think they're surprisingly really good at drafting, given that all we make fun of Jerry Jones, like, but I think they've done pretty well at the draft table. I think Parsons was 10th, 12th pick overall. It's just one example, but they've had some pretty good second, third round picks as of late. But they keep screwing up with their best players. They keep on neglecting. I didn't say neglecting, but just refusing to be all in. They say they're all in, but then they don't act like it.
Yeah, I think everybody just assumed Parsons would get signed because, you know, the Cowboys have traditionally done that with, you know, getting guys like Dak, Lamb, Zeke. I think those guys were all signed, you know, within a couple of weeks before the season started in their respective years, contract years. So yeah, I mean, you know, like we kind of touched on earlier, it's good for the Dallas skill players because they're going to have to put up points
for sure.
So
just saw the quarterbacks have been a little underpriced here. We still see Jalen Hurts out there. Jaden Daniels just went. We saw George Pickens, David Montgomery. Kind of an interesting valuation of the quarterbacks in this draft.
It is. I mean, we've seen a lot of quarterbacks going in the third round this year, and so to see Jaden fall to the 4 or 5 turn, that seems like really good value to me. He's another one of those guys where, like, similar to Josh Allen with his rushing floor, it's gonna be hard for him to bust. I don't know if people are thinking like, you know, year 2 letdown like a CJ Stroud or something, but I don't really see that happening.
Right. I don't either. I will. My notes of caution is, you know, their wide receiving core isn't deep. You know, it's really counting on Debo. It's really counting on Luke McCaffrey to step up as the wide receiver 3, or hoping McLaurin can hit the ground running after, you know, doing this hold in there. Offensive line, obviously they traded for Laramie Tunsil, but their right guard, it might be out. They've got a rookie at right tackle. We'll see what happens with that. But
yeah, it's not a deep receiving room. But, you know, Debo is definitely a nice addition. And, you know, Jaden seemed to have good rapport with Zach Ertz last year. And plus he ran for close to 900 yards, I think, last year. So
yeah.
We're seeing a couple of running backs go in this round with Montgomery and DeAndre Swift. It just feels really early to me, especially with Montgomery. I mean, maybe Swift typically goes somewhat in this range, but Montgomery definitely does not.
He goes, it's a little earlier, but not like crazy early, is it? It's about like 10 picks ahead, but
you look at his NFFC ADP over the last 2 days is 71 overall. So you're looking at late 6th.
I stand corrected.
So I wouldn't do that. Plus Montgomery is just not a sexy pick by any means.
Yeah. Finally saw Jalen Hurts go. I kind of think that's a little underpriced.
I totally agree.
Yeah. And you know what? It went to the auto pick team too. So it wasn't.
He has 2 quarterbacks. That's pretty crazy.
You're right. I didn't even think about that.
Wow. Yeah. So it's my pick here. I'm not going to force a running back here. I think Emeka Egbuka is just a smash here. Again, you talked about it. You touched on it with Mike Evans.
Sure.
And it's like with their injuries, like as a rookie, Egbuka is going to be forced into a big role on a team that's going to put up points on a team with a bad defense. Yeah, I love Agbuka. I don't know if you have any thoughts on him, but
I have many shares of him, and I think you're a real jerk for taking him.
How's that? you were gonna jump on him there.
Yeah. And it's okay. I have 5 receivers in my queue. I just have to decide which ones I really want.
Sure.
But yeah. One of them is going to be Zay Flowers. I don't. Yeah, it is. Zay Flowers is going to be one of them I click on here.
I love Zay. I took him in one of my drafts the other night. I just, again, like 5-6 turn, I think it's really hard to go wrong with Zay. The only downside is Baltimore could be like pretty run heavy.
Oh, they will be run heavy.
Yeah.
That is definitely going to be a thing. But yeah, that's definitely something that we're going to have to kind of deal with there when we take him, but so it goes.
And if you get an injury to like Derrick Henry or Mark Andrews at any point, like I think Flowers' usage is going to be really high in that scenario.
Right.
Okay, so you went, Ridley with your other one. Yeah, I love that. I actually have Zay Flowers and Calvin Ridley in our side of the stake league draft. So I hope those guys work out well for you.
Yeah, could work out all right. Let's hope. Oh, I missed it. One thing about draft tools is when you miss on a pick and you have to undo everything. Not
sure.
You were even talking about David Montgomery, and I forgot to add it to that person. So
okay. Are you using our new RotoWire draft?
Yeah, the draft assistant. Unfortunately, for NFFC, you can't use the live sync aspect of it there. I have to click on.
Gotcha.
I was finishing up a Yahoo league, and my Yahoo auctions. It's been amazing. The software allows it, and it's nothing with our programming. It's whether the host will allow it there. To scrape it like that. But I'll tell you, it's so nice. It's so nice when you don't have to do all the input. You can just think about your next pick.
For sure.
Huge time saver, especially when you're flopping your gums like I am here while we're drafting. So makes it easier. When I'm talking and drafting at the same time, the air potential is so much higher.
Yeah, for sure. There's been a couple of times where I've forgotten to get rid of somebody on here, but the draft is moving at like a reasonable pace, so I feel like I have some time to cross out guys here from my spreadsheet.
Right. So I had a choice, 3 to make 2 again. I was debating between Zay Flowers, Calvin Ridley, and Devonta Smith, and of course Devonta Smith went immediately after I took my pick. But I'm big on Ridley this year. I thought this was actually a reasonable price at 61 to go ahead and take him there. But he has a real quarterback finally, and you just got your running back. Hey, you. I didn't even realize you're on the clock. Good job. Actually, you're not on the clock. This was a while ago, but hey, I just came to it when I'm adding it there. But go Titans for both of us, huh? Look at us.
Yeah, the thing with Ridley is, Cam Ward could not be any worse than Will Levis was last year, right? So there may be some growing pains like there are with all rookie quarterbacks, but I think Ridley, I don't know how you go wrong with Ridley at the 5-6 turn.
Yeah. It's like if any other player could get hurt. That's about it. Right. I think he's going to be a lot better. And, I needed wide receivers. So that was pretty big for me to get a couple of options there. Now it kind of opens up the draft for me. I can just take a few players that I like and hope they come to me. I hope it works out. Hope is not a plan, but it's nice when it happens.
Yeah, and if the Tennessee offense ends up being good, that's going to work out for both of us. I'm pretty happy to get Pollard there in the 6.
Well, especially with in your case in particular there, because Tajay Spears is going to begin the year on the IR.
For sure. So you're looking at Tajay out a month. So Pollard should have a big workload. and he had a big workload last year, right? Like he touched the ball 300 times. So, I mean, like ideally he's not your running back one, but considering how I started the draft, I'm totally fine with having him as my top running back.
Slippin' Jimmy, good team name, by the way, if you're a Better Call Saul fan. Just took Rashee Rice at 6.9. I would have probably taken him had he come all the way back, but he obviously wasn't coming all the way back. But I kind of like the gambit when you already have 3 receivers. I don't really like doing it as one of my top 3 receivers.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, Rice is another one of those interesting guys. Now we know it's nice going into the season that the uncertainty has been removed and we know he's going to be out for the first 6 games of the season. But, once he comes back, you've got, like a borderline wide receiver 1, right? So.
Yeah, he'll miss 6 games with the suspension, and then obviously he misses his bye week. But, we'll see what happens in that first week back, too. Like how much of a part of the game plan is it going to be right away? You're really betting on it being a, fantasy playoffs type of pick.
Yeah, which so many, especially when you consider like underdog, so many leagues, and this has the overall component at the 3-week sprint at the end. So, you're going to have him for the really important part, assuming you can get there.
Exactly.
But yeah, I mean, I think the key thing if you take Rice is to make sure you've got a couple other guys that you can rely on, which Team 9 does have.
Indeed.
So, and yes, speaking of the Packers, we see Golden go at the 6-7 turn, and he's somebody whose stock has really risen as the summer's gone on.
Yeah, he has. Funny thing is, I was looking to click on Golden to add him to my queue, and like, where is he?
Yeah, he's gone.
Yeah. Jaden Reed, dealing with the Jones fracture in his foot. Dubs has been hurt a couple of times already. They've got some attrition in their wide receiver core. Golden's getting all these extra reps. Unfortunately for him, Jordan Love missed a bunch of reps too because he had the ligament injury in his non-throwing thumb, which kept him out of practice for like a couple of weeks. So it's a shame that they didn't get that time to just get work together on that a little bit more. But nonetheless, I'm on board. It's tough paying the new price on Golden at 72 in this league, and that's 72 to 82, 85 essentially is his new price.
Yeah, we just saw back-to-back quarterbacks get picked here with Dak and Mahomes in the early 7th, which is a bit early for Dak. But he does have Pickens, so I guess Team 11 wanted to lock up that combo. And now Bo Nix makes it a third, which is again a little bit early for my liking.
No Thinking asks if Rice was not suspended, what round would he go in? And it's 2nd or 3rd round.
Yeah, for sure.
In fact, that's where he was going early in drafts before the legal issue had been. He's going essentially around the 2-3 turn. And a lot of people saying he's a top 10 receiver. I'm not sure about that necessarily, but it kind of shows what people thought about him at the very least. So, yeah. So you're getting a bargain if you think about it this way. I don't think there's any question on the ability. I think the only question is, availability there. Is he 100% recovered? And what happens when he comes back from a suspension? So we're starting to see these second-tier quarterbacks go now, like you said. Dak, Patrick Mahomes, Bo Nix, all in a row. Punish me, folks. Go ahead. Keep taking quarterbacks. I'm fine with that. Maybe the auto pick team will take another one, too. Let's just go for it. Let's keep going, folks. Let's go.
Yeah, the draft board's definitely going to look weird to people if they look at this after the fact and don't know that Team 4 was on auto pick. Should never leave your draft with Lamar and Hurts. And
right.
One thing you'll see me do is I won't leave the draft with another quarterback. I have Josh Allen. There's no need for me to waste another roster spot with a quarterback. When it comes to Allen's bye week in week 7, I'll look, maybe the week before week 6 to pick up a filler for a week. that's kind of my plan there when I go with the quarterback early.
Makes sense. I think you could. I wouldn't be opposed to maybe, I wouldn't be opposed to a late rounder because it's 20 rounds. That's the one thing. It's like all the backup quarterbacks will be picked over. That is the only negative for you there as far as that goes. So you're coming up in a couple of picks here. We just saw Tyrone Tracy and Jacoby Myers go off the board. Myers was like the last of the wide receivers I had queued up from the last time around. So now I have to go back and do that again. Do it all over again. But I have a couple players in mind that I know I definitely want. So we'll see what happens with that. The Team 4 showed up. He's here now.
He's here. Okay, well, he's got some work to do.
Yeah. Yes, he does. Unfortunate. He just took Sam Laporta, puts you on the clock.
Yes, Jeff. Yes, it does. What should I do? You should
definitely not take the guy I'm thinking about.
Yeah, right.
I'm not even going to put him in the queue because that would kind of put him into existence for you there. And I really wouldn't want to do that.
Yeah, this is kind of interesting too, where it's like when you're kind of debating a couple of different positions, you can look and see what the guys behind you might want. Mm-hmm. So I'm kind of debating between a couple of different guys here. And it probably just makes sense for me to
5 seconds, brother.
Yeah, I know. I pushed that to the end. I kind of knew what I was going to do. Aaron Jones typically goes a little bit earlier than this, so I'm fine taking him at the end of the 7. I mean, he's typically a 7th round pick, so it's nothing like crazy value.
So you and I might be at loggerheads this season, depending on what Team 2 does here. So I plan on taking Jordan Mason as one of my 2.
Okay. Yeah.
It's a priority for me. I'm in on Jordan Mason. I think he's gonna be the more successful of the 2 backs this year as the season progresses. You'll probably get a little bit more production early on in the season. I think I'm going to have a little bit more production in the goal line area there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're definitely looking at Mason getting goal line work. Maybe I have a soft spot for Jones. I had his jersey, and I don't buy a lot of jerseys as being a longtime Packer.
Sure.
The nice thing about Jones is like he just catches a lot of passes, right? Like he has 51 catches, and this is PPR, full PPR. So I think he's good from that standpoint. So Jeff on the clock for 2 here, and did indeed go with Jordan Mason for the first of his 2 picks. So he's now got 3 running backs, 3 receivers, and a tight end. So
this is a gross spot. This is what earlier when I passed up on going at that 3-4 turn, passing up on the wide receivers there. This is where you feel it, because every single wide receiver left has got like a question mark attached to him at this point. There's the suspended Jordan Addison. There's Chris Godwin. There's Juwan Jennings, Stephon Diggs, Khalil Shakir, Cooper Kupp. Has he got anything left, or is he dust? I mean, I won't go any longer than that, but those are the ones I'm looking at. I am going to take one of them, though. I am going to take Steph Diggs.
Yeah, Diggs is actually the top guy I have left on my board. Yeah. So
it's a weird spot. It's definitely a weird spot.
So we'll see what Team 2 does here. I have this like weird feeling he's going to take the guy that I want,
and that's the tricky thing is here you're live, so you don't know if Team 2 is listening or not. Probably not, because they're smarter than we are and not multitasking while drafting. But
right,
I'm hoping I have enough time to do my baseball fab after this.
Okay. Sunday night it's time for that. Okay, he did not take the guy I was
emphatically not there. I would not take Joe Mixon in the top 12 rounds.
I mean, that's just that's an insane pick right there. Do not.
Hawkinson is a good pivot. If I could have put Hawkinson at my flex, and but I think I would have screwed myself more than I would have screwed everybody else by doing so. But I do like Hawkinson there. I think you waited to the right price. Pick what's that? 87. Yeah, that's a good price.
87. His ADP the last couple of days in RotoWire OCs is 79. Mm-hmm. So the value there is fine. But I mean, I don't, the tough thing about like drafting Mixon at all is like, he's just like, he clogs your roster. Like, I don't want somebody that I don't know when Mixon is coming back.
Yeah. I mean, well, that's all. Isn't that the argument with any of the suspended players too? Is, you have, especially in the case of Rice, where it's 6 weeks of cloggage. But
I think the nice thing with Rice is like, you at least know he's coming back after that. Like, I don't know if we know if Mixon's going to play this year.
Right. The funny thing is the head coach, D'Amico Ryans, didn't give us any reassurance as far as that goes either.
The GM also said that he's not sure if he's going to suit up this season. And then, what if like he does come back and Chubb is tearing it up? So yeah, it feels like Mixon's one of those guys where I think people can just cross off their board.
Mm-hmm.
Let somebody else take him. If you're going to take him in like the 15th round.
Yeah. Adam says he's listening, but he's on the opposite end. So thanks for listening, Adam. He's in the chat in the draft itself. So do appreciate that.
What's up, Adam?
Yeah.
So a little bit of a wide receiver run here in the mid 8th with Shakir, Pittman, Addison, and Kupp.
Yeah.
And like, to the guy that took Addison, it's like it's much easier to take Addison when he's your 4th receiver.
For sure. Yeah, and the thing is, yeah, because again, 20-man rosters, these guys are going to get taken anyhow. Might as well get your guy. Take the guy you want. So Corey Krosky Merritt goes. We all, if you're a fantasy analyst, you got to have an opinion about Bill. What say you?
It's so I was talking about Krosky Merritt with Harry, one of our tech guys in the office last week, and I am totally fine just avoiding the whole Washington RB room. I feel like there's, people like to make the Isaiah Pacheco comparison, which I get it, both being seventh round picks, but to me, he feels more like, if you remember Tyson Williams for the Ravens a few years ago, who kind of got like thrust into the RB1 role.
Yeah.
And he was basically irrelevant several weeks into the season. I think it could turn out that like Washington just doesn't really run the ball a ton. And it's like, I think Chris Rodriguez will be involved too. And obviously Eckler is going to be, the guy that's catching all the passes. So to me, there's just like too much uncertainty there. Like, you look at who went right after him. It's like, well, Charbonnet, if Walker misses any time, Charbonnet is a running back 1, mm-hmm. When Walker is out. And then like, I like Jaylen Warren more too. Another guy that's going to catch passes and could be on the field a lot if Caleb Johnson struggles.
Yeah. Got a question in the chat from earlier. I wanted to bring that up. Brian asks, deep into the draft, I'm going to make you show off one of your sleepers here. Isak Tesla or Dante Thornton? Maybe neither, but if you're choosing between those two, who are you taking? Lions 3rd receiver or Raiders 3rd receiver, or maybe 2nd receiver? We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'd probably lean towards Thornton. I don't think that like Tesla is going to be that involved unless we see, an injury to Amon-Ra or Jamison Williams. I just, and the other thing too is like Khalif Raymond is actually like quietly pretty good, and I don't think he's just gonna go away. So I'm fine. Like I'm fine if you want to take like a dart throw on Thornton. Amari Cooper showed that he was a shell of himself last year in Buffalo. So I think there's potential there. The Raiders are going to be down a lot and probably, throwing a decent amount in the second half of games. So maybe you get lucky with Thornton, actually being good.
Maybe so. Quinshon Judkins just went. I got to be honest with you, Ryan. I have no idea what's going to happen with Quinshon Judkins. I know at some point, theoretically, he's going to sign. And after that theoretical point, he could be installed pretty quickly. But, he's jumping onto a running treadmill now. The preseason training camp is done. He still hasn't been in camp. Obviously, he was in OTAs. He was in, mini camp and all that. But, he's unsigned. We don't know when the NFL's investigation is going to be done either. I have a couple of shares, but I don't know what to do with them.
Yeah, I think Judkins is another one of those guys where I'm fine just crossing him off my board.
Yeah,
I think he's facing a big uphill battle. He's got to be signed. He hasn't been with the team, right? Like, it just feels like Samson has surpassed him. We'll see. There's a path to him being relevant. I'm just fine letting someone else take that chance.
For sure. Yeah, I have done it a couple of times, but it's uncomfortable, without a doubt.
Yeah.
All right, you are on the clock, my friend. Brian Robinson, Keon Coleman, the two that went just before that there. Brian Robinson, obviously now the backup in San Francisco behind Christian McCaffrey after the trade. We spent some time talking about the DC backfield. You look at Ryan's team right now. If you look at what he's done so far, it's CeeDee Lamb, A.J. Brown, Tyreek Hill. He also has Emeka Ibuka, so he's got 4 elite pass catchers, plus Josh Allen, 2 running backs in Tony Pollard and Aaron Jones. Just added a third one in Cam Skattebo to go, and also has T.J. Hawkinson there. All right, Cam Skattebo, talk to me.
Yeah, I think, just the way my roster is coming together here, I needed to go running back. And there's not a ton left on the board. There's nobody you're going to take in this spot and be super excited about. But, I'm hoping Skattebo can kind of pull what Tyrone Tracy did with Devin Singletary last year. And we know Skattebo can catch passes. I think in this, I wouldn't really want to take him much earlier than this, but I think he's fine here.
Yeah, I am on the clock. I've taken one so far.
Jennings is such a good pick at the 9-10 turn.
Thanks.
I mean, you just got, the 49ers, one of their 2 best receivers.
Now I'm debating what to pair him with, but yeah, and it's just I may not have Jennings in week 1, but that's okay. I'm counting on the contract and the calf getting both worked out. Take another running back flyer here, Trey Benson, top running back on my board. I could have taken another receiver there, could have gone with the quarterback, but I'm going to wait.
Sure. Yeah, at this point of the draft, you're taking guys where, in the running back tier, you're looking at guys where if the starter goes down, do they have a big pathway to, significant workload? And Benson definitely does. Doesn't hurt that he's got a 30-year-old running back with a lot of mileage ahead of him. If Connor doesn't get injured, he's not going to really do much for you, but you would assume that's probably going to happen at some point.
Yeah. Question in the forum, and this is a good one. Do you like Khalil Shakir or Keon Coleman more, or both? He has Allen. I would also add Josh Palmer to that mix. I think Josh Palmer could be good too. I think that's one of the trickier ones to kind of figure out is the Buffalo pass catcher situation there. So I would add him too. We just saw Jaden Reed go. Talk about a guy that has definitely fallen because of the injury news on him. He has that Jones fracture in his foot. So, he's definitely a guy that has fallen. I've grabbed him in some deeper formats there, but, it's like I want him to be like my wide receiver 6. I can't count him as one of my top 4 for sure, as far as that goes. Ryan, you are on the clock now. You can go a lot of different ways here. You filled all your positions. You've got 3 running backs, 4 receivers, quarterback, and a tight end. So what are you looking at here? You're looking at a running back, Jadon Blue.
Yeah, none of the wide receivers really jump off the page to me here. So I'm fine taking a chance on Blue here. It's not like he has the toughest competition ahead of him, right? Like, the NFL has told us that like Javonte Williams is not good at football, right? Like he signed a 1-year, $3 million deal. Denver didn't really want to play him, towards the end of last year.
Right.
Miles Sanders, same kind of thing. Like just feels like a washed up running back. So, I don't know how good Jadon Blue is. He was a 5th round pick. And he's had ankle injuries as well, which doesn't help. But I think there's a pathway to him getting that RB1 role for the Cowboys at some point during the year. We'll see if that materializes.
Yep. Exactly. He's the fastest guy on that backfield. That's for sure. Can he hold up? The question I have with Jadon Blue isn't like, okay, he's definitely fast enough for the NFL, but is he big enough? Can he handle between the tackles, carries? Will they give him that chance? Schottenheimer strikes me as a coach that doesn't necessarily offer that opportunity sometimes there. That's the one thing I'd wonder about. And are we talking 150 touches, 200 touches? What are we talking about here? Swing a series of receivers going, Rashid Shaheed, Christian Kirk, Brandon Ayuk. One of these is not like the other. Shaheed is interesting to me because he's got a lot of talent, but I just question, whether, the quarterback is going to get it to him at all. And, it's the Rattler now. Will they see Tyler Shuck at some point in time? I don't know.
I love Shaheed. He's one of those guys where like, I'm taking him in the 10th round every time. If I'm looking to go receiver, he's just been really efficient when he's played. He's got big play ability. He's got a receiver in Olave that's got, plenty of, concussion, injury concern. And so, but yeah, like you said, the quarterback play could be really bad, but the division is filled with bad defenses. They're probably going to be down a lot. And we don't really care if the production is coming in garbage time. It counts the same, and he could be getting lot of that.
Yeah, and I think he's more than just a deep ball guy. I think he is actually legitimately good.
Yep, I agree.
Britton Allen asked an interesting question here. If you draft a running back in the first round, do you go for the handcuff in the later rounds, or do you not worry about it? I think it's a conditional answer. I know this is mealy mouth, but trust me on this, and I have a reason for that. This is. In some teams, it's not rapidly identifiable who the handcuff is, right? In some cases, you don't quite know. For instance, Baltimore. If you have Derrick Henry, is it going to be Justice Hill or is it going to be Keaton Mitchell? Mitchell has the higher upside, but Justice Hill, they trust him. He's a guy that will see the field. We know this. I
think it's Keaton Mitchell, Jeff. I think Justice Hill is just more of a they do like him, and I think Justice Hill is a very efficient NFL player, but he's going to be more of like a 3rd down guy. I think they would elevate Mitchell into the starting role.
Okay. Yeah, but in some teams there's like a clear handcuff. It. In Detroit there's no handcuff because it's a timeshare already. So you can't deal with that. San Francisco, I think if you have McCaffrey, I feel pretty. I would definitely want to take Brian Robinson. I think that Team 5 did not in this case. There, I think if you have Barkley, Will Shipley, I don't know. I think he's probably the next guy up, especially now. What's his name is in Pittsburgh now.
Gainwell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think Shipley is pretty clearly the top backup there. Genty, I wouldn't bother chasing his backup though.
Yeah, I think to answer his question, I think it kind of depends. Some of the handcuffs are just too expensive to really, to really do it. Last night in a draft, I took Bucky Irving in the second round, and I took Sean Tucker in the 17th. Which again, there's like debate there on, would Rachaad White just kind of be more of a third down back in that situation and Tucker be the first and second down back? But like, 17th round, I think, something like that is totally fine. I'm not anti handcuffing your stud RB. I just don't want it to be expensive.
Yeah, exactly. Especially if you pay an expensive price for said running back in the first place.
Yep.
Yeah. But hey, nothing now is expensive, by the way. We're in the 11th round.
For sure.
If you see a player you like, you take him, period.
Yep.
And I think there's a couple of those guys that I still have in mind that I'm actually adding to my queue, so I remember them now too. Hey, don't forget, just keep those guys up. Otherwise, sometimes you forget about the player that you really want to take. So I'm doing that right now with a couple of these players here because I want to do that. Looking at our rosters, so you've got the 4 early wide receivers, 4 late running backs. Now your draft is wide open. You can fill it however you want. I'm also at 4 and 4, so I'm pretty much wide. No, check that. I can't do math. I'm 5 receivers, 4 running backs right now. Still don't have a quarterback, but that's fine. We'll see about that.
Yeah, I'm at the point of the draft now where I want to go back to receiver. Hey, it's fun drafting receivers, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So I think there's still some reasonable options on the board here.
I agree.
There's
a couple of guys I want. I won't. I'll wait till you pick before,
right?
And all that, but
I don't want to give any away in case somebody's listening here.
One of them I mentioned in the comments already. I will just say that, but
I missed that.
Just talking about Palmer. I like Palmer. You don't have to get him now. Usually you can get him later, but it is definitely one of those dart throws I like to take. Because hey, Buffalo's going to have an elite offense. I know they probably won't have over 100 targets for any one receiver, but if they do, Palmer could be that guy. It's a possibility. That's the case for him there, and I think he's actually just a good player.
Yeah, I agree. All right, so we're coming up on us here as we're on to team 6.
Drake May just goes.
Yeah. We've had some running backs go here as well. We've had 6 running backs in the last 8 picks. So even more reason for me not to go running back.
Team 7 and Team 8 just took their first quarterbacks, Goff and May, respectively. So, yeah, I think I'm the only one that hasn't veered off the road, and I've been playing quarterback chicken there. So we'll see what happens. Ollie Gordon went. That's someone who I definitely was going to take at this upcoming turn had he stuck around there. But so it goes. Sorry, Ollie Gordon's getting a lot of helium these days. I don't trust Achane to stay healthy, and Jalen Wright's had surgery, and they've signed 2 old guys just to have enough running backs on the roster. That's how shorthanded they are. So I was a little bummed out to see him go. Darnell Mooney just went. That was one of the cromulent wide receivers that when you and I were talking wide receivers, that's one of the guys I was kind of looking at there. I know you are on the clock, so I'm kind of just trying to talk a little bit longer, let you make your pick.
I'm debating between which wide receiver I want to take here. Decisions, Jeff.
Yes, I know. Nothing beats the excitement of the 11th round, boys and girls.
Right.
Let me tell you.
I'm going to go
Rashad Bateman. Yep, that's a good pick.
Bateman.
Top receiver on my board.
So. Was he? Okay, yeah, that's good. It's hard to get super excited on Bateman just because of how much they like to run the ball. But he's a former first round draft pick. He's shown to be good, can make the big play. So I'll
Right.
take a chance on Bateman.
Yeah.
And so now we've got Jeff for 2 here. We'll see if this is the time that he pulls the trigger on a quarterback or if he waits a little bit longer.
No, I'm pulling the trigger.
Yeah, I think Purdy's a good late round quarterback. The 49ers schedule is quite favorable. And I think,
an understatement. Yeah. It's just a question of like, okay, is he going to have any receivers to throw to early on? Keep in mind, I also have
one of them.
I have Kittle and Jennings, so I kind of have
2 of them. Yeah,
I have a sneaky stack. So that's kind of one of those things. It didn't set out this draft to say, hey, I'm building a Niner stack, but here we are.
Yeah, sometimes it just kind of works out that way. I think, in an overall contest like that too, that's not going to be that common of a trio to have.
Yeah.
Okay, so you did go with Josh Palmer after
top receiver on my board. So yeah. So that's the way I went there. We are in the 12th round of this draft here. You can follow along on the board if you are. I'll also put it. If you don't see if the link is too small for you, I'm going to go ahead and give you the public link in the forum. So those of you streaming along with us here, you can see the link for it here too. So you can see that. Benson says Ollie Gordon's going to be a league winner after Coach McJaggers gets fired, and the interim coach decides to run the ball 50 times a game instead of riding the Tua tilt-a-whirl. All right, that was pretty funny. So there, I like that comment there from Benson. Here's the thing. I mean, Achan's they're going to run Achan as much as they can, but can Achan hold up? Ollie Gordon is an interesting prospect because he was so good in college 2 years ago, but this past year was a lesser year. He stayed 1 year too long at Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State was bad last year. I think that's some of it. I think that's one of the reasons why he kind of drifted off a little bit there. So yeah, I kind of like that pick of Gordon a lot. We'll see, what sort of run he gets in that though.
Yeah, if you played any college football fantasy, Gordon was often the number 1 overall pick in drafts last year, so the talent is definitely there.
Yeah, I used to play a ton of college fantasy. You just took Woody Marks, another college rookie running back there. I like that pick too. It's funny you took him and the starter's still out there. Which is, interesting. I actually don't think that's incorrect. I think that's fine, by the way, but it is kind of noteworthy that it went that direction there. Kyle Pitts finally went. What a drop there for him, but there is a pathway to him having some value this year. Caleb Williams, I was conflicted there. I almost took Caleb Williams thinking of Ben Johnson, let's go, but I couldn't do it. Couldn't pull the trigger. I didn't want to double up on QBs. I can go another time down. So we'll see about that there. But Caleb Williams under Ben Johnson, I think it could work out pretty well.
Yeah, it could. I don't know. I mean, maybe it's the Packer homerism in me just being like, Caleb stinks or wanting him to stink. Maybe Ben Johnson can work his magic, but there just seems to always be dysfunction around the Bears that I would rather have Purdy.
Yeah.
And just going back to my pick, I'll just talk about Woody Marks. I realize it now, but I've taken 3 rookie running backs in a row, which is maybe some bias that I had.
Better than taking 3 30-year-old running backs in a row.
Right. I guess it kind of cancels out that my starters are Tony Pollard and Aaron Jones, but I think there's. Again, I've talked about this, but like, is there a pathway to Marks, like, being the team's go-to running back? And it's like, well, we know Mixon could be out a long time, and we know Nick Chubb is, a 29-year-old running back that's had a big injury history. So, I think Dameon Pierce has shown that he's somebody that can be bypassed on the depth chart. They traded up for, to get Woody Marks. and he can definitely have a pass catching down role at the very least.
Yes,
so,
agreed.
And I've kind of talked about how I love getting running backs in full PPR that can be on the field on third downs in 2-minute drills.
I like that. I like that approach a lot. Quick score update. Miami just went ahead of Notre Dame about just before halftime. It's 14, about to be 14-7. It's 13-7 right now on that one there. For those of you paying attention to that, for baseball, Jesus Luzardo, I got two TVs going on here in the background. Jesus Luzardo took a shutout in the 7th inning. Pretty impressed considering he's been all over the map there lately, but at least in this one, he looked pretty good at least. So there you go. That's some scoring updates as we're drafting there. How do you like that?
Well, I know you're a tennis fan too, Jeff, so we're not really missing much at the U.S. Open as Djokovic rolled and as is Sabalenka right now. So
yeah, Sabalenka, you just got to wait till you get her in the semis and the finals, and then she'll lose her composure.
She'll choke, yeah.
Yeah. She's Ivan Drago of the women's tennis world. She's just built different than everybody, any other female tennis player. Just hits the crap out of the ball.
She's huge, yeah.
But anyways, there you go. Analysis. There we go. Moving on there. My favorite weight on the tight end player is Jake Ferguson. Went to Team 10 here. I already had Kelsey. So here's one thing: when you pay the premium on a tight end, you're never going to go ahead and get a second tight end early. So so it goes. Going to be. That's the price you pay. But I think Ferguson is going to, do really well. He's the third target, and he's going to have, I think, just a lot of volume because I think Dallas is going to throw the ball a lot. I don't think they're going to be very effective in running the ball. I think Schottenheimer will try to do that, but I think he'll eventually give up on that.
Fun fact about Jake Ferguson, Jeff, I watched him play basketball in high school. He went to Madison Memorial here, which is where I live, and he was big then, and then went to UW here, where he was very productive. So glad to see him doing well. And Dak loves just peppering him with targets. That's probably going to change a little bit this year now that they've got Pickens. But
they finally have an outside receiver, but that's good though. Because that pulls the coverage away from Lamb, and it pulls the coverage away from Ferguson.
Sure.
Yeah. We finally saw our first defense and kicker get taken there. Denver defense, Cowboys kicker taken at the 12-13 turn. A little early, but hey, you're waiting a long time before the next round of that goes. So I get it.
Yeah, to each their own on that. I mean, I guess some people just feel like there's value in having the best kicker defense and overtaking one of these dart throws like a Tajay Spears or who's going to miss time. So
yeah, folks, we're gonna take this live stream through round 15, and then we'll probably cut that off. We'll finish the last 5 rounds, but obviously you saw the link in the forum. I tweeted it out. You can check it out that way. I actually have some baseball fab work to do, and we're kind of digging into, the dregs anyhow here. That way, I think this is long enough for a live stream. So we'll get you the next couple of rounds, and we'll just give you a heads up that we're about to sign off here. But thanks everybody for tuning in. Really do appreciate it. Hopefully you guys are enjoying this here.
And there's the aforementioned Isaac Tesla that went off the board in the 13th round.
Yeah, there you go.
Well ahead of Dante Thornton, which is probably standard. So there's your answer to that guy, I guess, on who you should take first.
There you go. There you go. JJ McCarthy finally gets taken in the 13th round. What's your opinion on McCarthy this year?
Yeah, that's an interesting combo by Team 7 to go with May and McCarthy. I guess you're hoping that one of the 2 second-year quarterbacks can emerge, and I think that's a good bet that one of them will. We know Kevin O'Connell's the quarterback whisperer, so he's also got Team 7 has Justin Jefferson as well, so I think that pick makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
I think McCarthy's a fine pick in this round. I would assume he'll have a reasonable season. Do you have any thoughts on him, Jeff?
I have a lot of McCarthy, and it's all about Kevin O'Connell. And yes, I'm a serial wait on the quarterback sort of guy. So I end up with the McCarthys of the world. Even in auctions, I prefer not to bid up, although it's not always true. I've had Burrow in a couple auction leagues, but I prefer usually not to bid up on the top quarterbacks. In the stake league, I went cheapo and went Dak, and I went with another cheap one there. So that's usually the way I go. But that's kind of the route I usually am going with there. You just took a second tight end, Dallas Goedert.
Yeah, I think this is a good time to grab my final tight end. And I thought that team two, since he only has Colston Loveland, might do it in one of his 2 picks here behind me. So that's why I decided to go tight end here.
Yep. It makes sense here. I'm 1 pick away from doing my last 2 live announced picks. I'm going to be taking a quarterback with one of them there. There's a couple that I think have slipped quite a bit in price, so I'm happy to go ahead and go that route there. But I've got a week 14 bye for that there, so that's the only thing I will say. We just saw Kyle Williams go, rookie out of Washington State with New England Patriots. So that's not someone that I would take him at some point in time. He's definitely on my board, but hey, good. Everybody has different opinions, but the guy I'm taking, this guy's hung around like a stale fart, and that's Kyler Murray. And I don't love Kyler Murray. In fact, I hate that the Cardinals did nothing to improve their offense this offseason. But dude, this is round 13. I'll take him here as one of my guys. And the question is there another wide receiver that I like? There is, as a matter of fact. I'm going to take a rookie. I'm going to go ahead and take Trey Harris. I think he's of some value here as well.
Yeah, Trey. I remember Trey Harris at Ole Miss. He was super productive. So we'll see if he gets. They did bring in Keenan Allen there too, so maybe knocked him down a little bit. But at the end of the day, talent prevails. So
yep. What are you thinking about with your next pick here? We're gonna sign off after you do it there, and we'll do a little summary there. But what are you thinking with your next pick? We'll still have 5 more picks after this. 6 more.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go with a wide receiver here as well. Now that it's back on me. So I'm gonna go with Wan'Dale Robinson here.
Sure.
Which, is probably one of those guys that's not like a super sexy pick.
He was third on my board. So
sure.
Yep.
You could take a chance on, one of the rookies like, Jalen Knoll or A.O. Maynor from Tennessee. But, Wan'Dale's a good full PPR guy, right? Like he's one of those guys where it's like his yards per catch is usually like, something really small, but, he could get you 10 catches for 70 yards on a given week. So we'll see if Russell kind of locks on with him. But at this point of the draft, we're kind of taking dart throws here.
So you happy with your results so far? Think this is a contender?
Yeah, this isn't a build that I've gone with this year, so it looks a little bit different. But overall, I'm happy with it. I really like the value I got in Agbuka in the 5th, and then I think for waiting until the 6th round to get a running back, I'm really happy with Pollard as my RB1. And then if one of the other backs like Scatabo, Jaden Blue, Woody Marks can emerge into a meaningful role, I think this team should be pretty good. But, hey, at the same time, like, Tyreek Hill could be an absolute bust, right? So you just never know.
Yeah, indeed.
Oh, and yeah, what do you think, Jeff, about your team?
I'm happy. I'm pretty happy right now. Took a chance on the wide receivers, and I felt like they came to me anyhow. I usually don't go with the early tight end, but I wanted to get at least one Kittle in this format there. The fact that I got Jennings later and Purdy later. I mean, I think that could be fun late in the season there, especially if this not so tough schedule lives down to its billing. I'm going to be pretty happy with that there. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We really appreciate everybody joining us on the live stream. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully got something out of this here, and we enjoyed doing it there. Thanks for tuning in. Good luck in your leagues this year. Take care.
Cheers.